Alright, YouTube, how's everybody doing? To put in a contest entry for our friend Vincru12000. He's got over 100, I think over 150 subs now. Well deserved. Man has a great collection. He's done a lot of trades with people in the community, and always leaves good comments on videos, and puts up some good videos himself. Like I said, he's got a very good collection, some nice keys, and he's decided to do a contest for everyone. And what he has asked is to kind of give an example of your favorite stories, story arcs or whatever through in the comic books, and to explain your screen name on YouTube and give a couple of shout outs to some new YouTubers. So congratulations, Vincru. Like I said, you'll be 300-400 subs before you know it. Got a really good channel going and some great videos up. Thanks again for this contest. And here we go. Some of my favorite stories. First of all, I want to show some of the books that kind of got me into collecting comics. These were a gift to me from an old friend who lived up the street when I was a kid. I think I was like maybe about 10, and these are older comics. One of these was a Fantasy Masterpiece. This is actually number 5. This is from 1966. It reprints some Golden Age stories. There's some good Captain America stories in here. He fights the Ringmaster of Death, and he fights a dragon, and some Nazi action. But stories that got me are the sci-fi reprints that are inside. And this one called The Things from Dimension X. We have these weird creatures from another dimension show up to take over the Earth, and of course they choose this one guy to be their main slave, and he's got to help them and stuff. And at the end, it's not anything that he does. He thinks about sabotaging some of their machines and stuff to stop them, and but in the end he doesn't do anything. They encounter these beings in the woods, these giant creatures. They attack them with everything they have. You see here, it's a large leg, and yes, it looks kind of, I don't know, like stone. And well, it ends up being Mount Rushmore comes alive. I always thought that was pretty cool. Also, in the comics that were given to me were some Thor reprints in Marvel Spectacular, and I remember reading these great reprints of the early Thor, Journey into Mystery, and things like that. And this one always struck me as being really cool. It's Thor and Hercules. Thor does something to piss off Odin, and Odin traps him in this place where he'll have to stay until someone requests his help. And of course, Hercules gets into a battle, and he does something to piss off Zeus. It's been a long time since I've read these, but Zeus is punishing him, and he's got to fight this big horde, and he says that there must be someone somewhere in the universe that will answer his call. And you see Thor get set free from his prison, and he goes to help Hercules, and then it says continue to next issue, and unfortunately they only had issue 2, issue 8, 11, 16, and 19, so I still don't have the continuation of that story. I feel like I have read it somewhere, but I don't have it, so I may have read it from someone I knew or something. But the rest of these are really great reprints. He fights Ulick in this issue. this issue with the grilling man. This was always one of my favorites. He gets Odin sends him to Earth, and I believe this is where he actually he loses his powers and his memory for a while. I could be wrong. And then there was an issue here with the Wrecker. And those were always really great. I remember reading those as a kid, and those are kind of what got me into wanting to collect more comics. From there, I went on to collect a number of things. One of the biggest things being, of course, X-Men. And in the early 90s, I was a huge fan of the cartoon, got into the comic books, and fortunately, I missed a lot of the 80s X-Men, the Days of Future Past, and things like that. They had this one storyline that went on. It's like 92, I believe. It's called Executioner's Song. I know a lot of people probably are not going to like this storyline, but for some reason I did. It actually went over into Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, X-Factor, and X-Force. And it's one of the few times I've ever picked over one of the cross-title events. For some reason I liked it. It was all revolved around Cable and another character named Strife, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. Spoilers if you haven't read the story. Strife ends up being a clone of Cable from the future that he's from. He was cloned by Apocalypse, and as you come to find out in other stories that Cable, his bionic arm is not bionic. It's actually a techno-organic virus that's taken over his body, and his telekinesis holds it back. But in the future where he was from, Apocalypse took and made a clone of him without the virus, so he doesn't have that limitation. And Strife ended up being a badass. He had telepathic powers. He had I-beam. It's a lot like in the Age of Apocalypse storyline, X-Men, Nathan Gray. Very similar powers because they're basically the same character, just different futures, different realities. But it struck me as a pretty neat story, all about family, involved Cyclops and Jean Grey, and even Havoc. There's a good scene in there where Strife sets up a barrier that's supposed to keep out all DNA except Summer's DNA, and he kind of forgot about Havoc. Havoc is able to slip through the barrier. It hurts him a little bit because he's not Cyclops, but he's able to get through, and he actually ends up helping to save the battle, and it was a pretty cool one. The issue, I think the best issue of it all was actually not officially part of that, but it was the first issue of Uncanny X-Men following that. It's called Songs In, and this is where Xavier had been infected with a techno-organic virus by Strife, and that's the whole Executioner's Song. They're going around trying to find who actually did it, and everything ends up being Strife and all. Apocalypse ends up saving Xavier. He expunges the virus from his body, and one of the side effects is he's able to walk for a little bit. And there's a pretty little touching story here where Jubilee's feeling kind of down, and Xavier talks to her, and it's no action or anything. I just thought it was kind of a good little wrap-up issue for that. Another X-Men story that kind of got me, and it's basically a single issue, but it was Uncanny X-Men 303, where Illyana dies from the legacy virus that was also created by Strife. And that, of course, a few years later was followed up when Beast created a cure, and Colossus gave his life to prevent anyone else from suffering the fate of his little sister. Both of those issues kind of cemented my love for the X-Men. Now to some storylines here. A little different than I think a lot of people would choose. I got this 4-issue miniseries here. I think it was one of those Walmart multi-packs you used to be able to buy. A lot of times they would have a complete miniseries in one pack. I believe this came from that. But it's Death's Head 2 from Marvel UK back in the 90s. And these were cool. This one doesn't have a board. You can see they have flip covers. So it's a different cover on the back, which I thought was kind of neat. Pretty interesting art. And if anybody's familiar with the story, basically the original Death Head is killed. I forget how, but this new it's another cyborg, and they call him Minion. He gets Death's Head's personality gets kind of downloaded into him, and it kind of mixes. And he ends up being hunted, and he teams up with this chick here, who I believe her name is Tuck. Yeah, it's on the cover there. And they end up hopping through different realities and things, and they end up hopping into a reality where the future version of him becomes this big techno-organic being that ends up trying to take over the world and kills all the world's heroes except for like a couple members of the Fantastic Four, Wolverine, Captain America, and there's this big fight at the end where the past version of him teams up with the heroes of that future to fight his future self, and there's heroes die, but it's kind of an alternate reality, so it doesn't really take place in the normal Marvel universe. But I don't know, it was just one of those stories that I remember reading. Maybe it's because of the heroes dying, and they kind of did it in a good way. But I always kind of liked that story. Another mini-series from the 90s, and as you can see, this, see, I was born in 79, so in like 90, I was, 11, 12 years old, getting into comics. A couple years later, came across this. And yeah, I know your first thought is, look, half-naked chick, of course you're going to like that. Anybody who's read any Dawn knows she's a lot more than a half-naked chick. This was the first time I was introduced to Linsner's art and to the Dawn universe, and the whole story revolving around her being the wife of Death, being able to traverse both heaven and hell freely. Okay, so the memory card got full, camera decided to shut off there. I'll try to pick this back up and see if I can't edit it together. I think I was there with Dawn. Anyway, I'm sure everybody's familiar with Dawn. Again, this miniseries, it was a great miniseries to me. Like I said, I like the way she's able to go between heaven and hell, the way she taunts the God and the devil. It's great, and Linsner's art is fantastic. I don't think you'll find a more realistic version of a woman in comic books than Linsner's art. Again, the spiritual and the mystical parts of the books that are woven in are done really nicely, and I think done in a way that, I didn't find offensive from any religious standpoint, but that was just me. Again, it was a great story. And lastly, I know a lot of people are familiar with these, but there are a lot of people, I believe, that aren't. And that's Batman Grendel. And this was a 2-issue miniseries, Batman Grendel and then Grendel Batman, done by DC and Comico. I believe there were a couple of other miniseries after this that I failed to pick up, but this one was absolutely fantastic. Matt Wagner's art is incredible, very different. If you like Mike Mignola, I think you'll like Matt Wagner's art. The story is great. Batman and Grendel are so much alike. I could easily see Grendel being, a Batman universe character full time. He's on par with Batman. He fought him toe to toe. He has, he has an intelligence that rivals Batman's. He could definitely be a great villain, and this was a great matchup, and the way it was done was incredible. Anyone who hasn't read these, pick these up. Batman Grendel. They're from early mid 90s. Again, they're awesome. If you can tell from the covers, those are just fantastic. So yeah, that's just a handful of kind of my favorite stories. Like I said, I know maybe a lot of people won't agree with some of my picks, but that's okay. They kind of hit me at that right time, so that's kind of what's always stuck in my brain is you know, good stories. You know, I know there are lots of others. Kingdom Come, Marvel's Golden Age. If you haven't read that, pick that up. DC's Golden Age. Like I said, Kingdom Come, Marvel's, things like that. Those are also some awesome stories. Frank Miller's Dark Knight. The first one, not the second one so much, but the first one definitely. Watchmen, V for Vendetta, things like that. But I kind of wanted to pick a few that maybe aren't quite as popular. On to the second thing, my Scream name. You see is Scott X1307. Of course, Scott's my name with one T. X is my favorite letter of the alphabet for some reason. It's also, you know, X-Men. My favorite team, favorite group of characters, kind of my favorite, you know, sub-universe. X-Men was always my favorite, you know, comic overall, favorite stories overall. And 13, it's my lucky number, and 7 is kind of my second lucky number. I just put the O in there to kind of separate them, 1307. That's basically it. As for some newer YouTubers out there, there are many. I picked 3 that I've been looking at lately. One is Serial Killer 84. He's been on here for a couple of months now. He's got a few videos up. Great collection, and everybody should check out his channel. Another guy is Swampy13. He just started here in the past month or so. He's only got 3 or 4 videos up. A couple of those are contest entries. But he looks to have a pretty nice collection. His last couple of videos are pickups he's had recently, and he's had some pretty killer pickups. So check him out, give him some support. And another guy, and I think he's catching on with people now, is Lightning2288. He's been on here for about 3 months or so, I believe. And he's got a few videos up, really nice collection. And I believe he's already over 100 subs now, but he's still kind of new, and you know, definitely deserves some more subs. So those are 3 guys to check out. They're kind of on the rise: Serial Killer 84, Swampy 13, and Lightning 2288. If you haven't checked them out, go do that now. And Vincru12000, man, congratulations again on the 150 plus subs now. And appreciate the contest. I would do a shout out for you in your own video because you definitely have a great collection. You know, you do some good trades with other people in the community, and hopefully I can go through some of my books here soon and start getting up some things to do some trades with people. I've been looking forward to that for a while. Just hadn't had the time to go through my other boxes. So anyway, everybody take care. Congratulations again, Vincru. Thanks for the contest. You guys, if you haven't tuned in to his channel, do so now. And until next time, everybody take care.